Cool. We're live, Mr. Wade. Are you, sir?
Good night. Good night. Good night to our viewers, both at home and abroad, and to those who will view us later. Good night.
Good night, sir.
And it's always a pleasure to sit in the company of Mr. Leonard Brackett.
The pleasure is
And
mine too, sir.
hopefully, we'll be joined shortly by Gregory Brackett, our next senior panelist. And an invite was sent to Mr. Gregory Morrison, and hopefully he brings us here tonight. Also, um, again, welcome to our Belizean Affairs show number 358. We we have been sitting here for you know for a very long time, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know, I
sir.
hope that
We're on a long journey.
yes, sir, and our journey will continue.
Looking
Um,
forward to.
Yes, sir. As always, as we start our program with a prayer followed by a reading, and hopefully tonight's program, would uh, educate our people a little more, and you know, um, if they haven't heard uh, whatever we are talking about tonight, if they haven't heard it before, well, we are disseminating the information that we have. So for those who appreciate our shows, thank you very much. Um, so Leonard, I'll ask you to please lead us in a prayer, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll just bow my head. Divine loving Father, we thank you for this privilege to come before thy presence once more, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude for having given us the privilege of life and the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones, and be able to bring this show to our Belizeans at home and abroad. Please continue to bless our family members, our children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, our brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, and our other significant others. We pray that thou must bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. We pray also that thou must bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, and that thou would continue to bless the rest of humanity, especially those people who are in hurricane areas, tornadoes, floods, hur- um, volcano, earthquakes, war zones, those people who have need of food and clothes and shelter, loving Father, please provide for them. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I
Amen.
yield back,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Leonard, for warm
You're
prayer,
welcome.
sir.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
And there's a lot going on in our little jewel, Leonard, and around the world. A lot of things going on. So we here on Belizean Affairs, we talk about the things that mostly affecting the nation of Belize. Um, we talk about the good things that happens, and we also talk about the bad things that happens. Um, we call it the way we see it. We are about um, our nation and its people. We are not to speak. We are not afraid to speak out on issues.
Amen.
Um, you know, when we see that something is going wrong, we talk about it, and hopefully they divert. And a lot of the times we offer solutions
Amen.
to what's going on. So, Leonard, as usual, we also, we continue with a reading, then we go into our show. So, I'll do a reading, Leonard, from Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, 8 to 10.
Yes, sir.
sorry, 8 to
Mm,
8 to let's see, 20, and it reads, if you see in a province the oppression of the poor and the violation of justice and righteousness, do not be amazed at the matter, for
mm,
the high official is watching by a higher. The high official is watching by a higher. And there are yet higher ones over them.
mhm,
But this is gain for a land in every way. A king committed to fields, cultivated fields. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his
so,
income. This also is vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eats them. And what advantage has their owner but to see them with his eyes? Sweet is the sleep of a laborer. Whoever, whatever he eats, little or much, whether he eats little or much, but the full stomach of the rich will not let him sleep. There is a grievous evil that I have seen under the sun.
mm,
Riches were kept by their owner to his hurt, and those riches were lost in a bad venture. And he is father to a son, but he has nothing in his hand. As he came from his mother's womb,
so
he
shall
shall
he return.
go again,
Yeah.
naked as he came, and shall take nothing for his toil that he may carry away in his hand. This also is a grievous evil. Just as he came, so shall he go.
Amen.
And what gain is there to him who toil for the wind? Moreover, all his days he eat and in darkness, in much vexation and sickness and anger. Behold, what I have seen to be good and fitting is to eat and drink and find enjoyment, in all the toil with which one toils under the sun, the few days of his life that God has given him, for this is his lot. Everyone also to whom God has given wealth and possession and power to enjoy them and to accept his lot and rejoice in his toil. This is the gift of God, for he will not much remember the days of his life, but God keeps him occupied with joy in his heart. That's my reading from Ecclesiastes 5 8 to 20.
Amen.
Uh, Makes a lot of sense, you know.
Very
But
cautionary, Mr. Chairman. Very cautionary
yes, sir.
words
Yes, sir.
in our lives and even after death.
Amen.
You know?
And remember, when we leave this sinful earth, we take nothing, and like say also says Leonard, I really it says that all the toil that you toil and all everything you gather up, and then you don't get to enjoy it, right? At the end, nah.
So,
So tonight, Leonard, we want to go straight into our program, but first I want to give a sober reminder to a lot of accidents continue to happen. It
too
just
many,
keep yes,
too many.
just keep getting worse. It seems like a cloud, Leonard, is over our nation.
Yes, sir.
In terms of accident and fatalities on our roadways and highways.
Mr. Chairman,
So yes,
in
sir.
addition to all of that, we have a lot of like just outright evil going on among the people. People are just killing people wantonly. I mean, there's no love for each other. There's no tolerance with each other. I mean, it's just vexation and of the spirits. And a lot of mayhem. People just killing and shooting up at each other, shooting up close to the schools where little kids are, and they don't care if the kids they get hit. It's we're going from
So
bad to worse.
yes, Leonard. Some heinous crimes, Leonard, that we have seen in our time. But of
So,
lately, we are seeing some heinous crime in the little country of Belize. When I say heinous, I could see like in other more populated countries and other countries that these things happen. They dismembering bodies and.
yeah,
But lately, it's
crazy.
getting worse. And then we want and we see a government that is not being responsible. They don't seem to have the answer. They're doing all the wrong things, and they want to 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 legalize more drugs. Create more problems, more mayhem. Because drug is a drug. No matter how you try to dissect it, a drug is a drug, right? So
And
you
it is
know,
still illegal, Mr. Chairman. It is still illegal. That's the part. And the
yes,
person who's supposed to be taking care of the legality of it and have a lot of people in jail right now, some might be guilty or not, are no the proponents of this. It just doesn't make no sense. It's just
make no
crazy.
sense, Leonard. But I say signs of times, and these are our leaders who the people went to vote and elected them. It's two-party system. No one seems to have the answer. From one mayhem and one catastrophe onto another. Nobody wants to actually do the right thing and lead with lead with the heart. Lead with empathy and you know lead lead the nation in the right direction, right? It's all about getting in there and do evil things, right? Do evil things. That's what the populist vote seems to be voting them in office, one after the next, over and over, just to do the repetitious cycle against the nation and people. Nobody wants to see the nation move forward in the right direction, and where people live in peace and harmony, and live a peaceful life on the face of the earth until the Almighty ready for you. You know, um, it's so sad, right? It's so sad. But this is what the nation has to deal with. There will come a time that they will go, because they won't sit there for eternity. And I hope that you know they're gone, before I leave this sinful earth and see what maybe better is yet to come, but for me, with this two-party system, I think, in my personal view, it's only getting worse. It gets worse and worse and worse, and they keep blaming each other for the worst. They keep blaming each other. Well, they did it, so we it's okay for we to do it, And next one say, oh yeah, they did it, and all these nonsense. I think that in my these people need to be hurdled and taken across the reef in the deep, deep blue sea and just dump them there in a barge and just dump them there. Those are who have committed these kinds of acts on the nation and people, right? And they all get away with it. Repetitious cycle. So sad. Um, I want to still, let the people know that we are still in the hurricane season, June to November. Maybe the best is yet to come or the worst is yet to come. We cannot predict Mother Nature. So please take care of yourself, protect your property, your livelihood, and your loved ones, right? The best way you can, because your leaders doesn't seem to want to protect you in that way, right? Hurricane season is what we know. We don't know about tornadoes and earthquakes and all that, but we know about hurricanes. And it's so sad that this nation of Belize does not have a proper hurricane shelter for the people, right? So if anyone knows about any good hurricane shelter around the nation and the country, hey, let me know, because I haven't seen one, right? So that's just to show you the type of leaders you have, right? And that's just try to show you where their priority is at, right? Although they get the taxpayers' dollars, they get help, they get money to do the right thing to for the people in terms of disaster, but where does the money go? And it's a repetitious cycle. We keep doing the same thing over and over for a little promise and a little $100 on election day, a little $50, a little a little hands out, and there you suffer for the next 5 years. See other people come and they live like kings and queens in our country. It's so sad. While you the born Belizean live on the bottom of the barrel, just barely peeping out. So sad. Leonard, we want to talk about the Budna situation, latest development and what we think about it, and then you know we know that there is a lawsuit, and we would just like to know who will pay for for uh, the lawsuits that's going to catch the system, the government,
Mr.
right?
Chairman, the Prime Minister
So,
already answered that question for us. He said the people will pay.
okay. Then again, we'll talk about that. I'm just running through what we want to. So we have then you have the Coast Guard and the BDF, Leonard, are on the streets of the old capital, right? 20 dangerous prisoners escaped from Guatemala prison,
Mm-hmm.
right? And where is Guatemala? Right across, not too far from us, from the western border, right, and the southern border, right? So just be mindful, my people, right? I want to ask, and we want to talk. What happened to UNCAC, right? What happened? What happened to tell the nation, you know, uh, what's really going on at the ICJ? You know, the nation is lost on that, right? Um, you know, we want to talk about redistricting, Leonard, redistricting, because in my view and my experience, and I've been living, we have had like 3 or 4 illegal elections already, illegal election. So I asked, are we going to have another one in March again, another illegal election? So we want to talk about that, Leonard, redistricting. Um, we see that the attack on our law enforcement officers, they have been murdered, shot at and killed. And lately, um, over the weekend, there was a police officer that was gunned down and in the village of Unitedville, up here in the west, while on his way to work in uniform.
Mr. Chairman,
So,
are we gonna get our SOE for Kaya?
well, we'll see the way they, we'll see. But we want to talk about, put our input in, because we have talked about this that is going to happen. They say, we always see things and we talk about things and it happens. And we've been talking about this, that be careful what you go out on your duties and you do. If you do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
well, but if you do the wrong thing, like I have always said, Leonard, that
Karma,
some people will not take that lightly.
karma.
Some will. You do wrong to people, trust me, they're human beings just like yourself. But if you do the right thing, how can I come and do you something, Leonard, for doing the right thing? Right? So if you do the wrong thing to me, trust me, you think I'm going to forget that? And I see you, I said, man, you see that guy there? This is what he did to me. It was wrong. So, I'll have that laying on my chest. It'll give me an ulcer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, Leonard, and another thing that I want to, if we have the time, we want to talk about is that, Leonard, at our port of entry into Belize, there is a lot of custom activities in terms of confiscated items. Now, I maybe we'll try and try to find out where these items go on a
Doesn't it
daily basis.
doesn't it go home, or they have a warehouse that they keep them there until they're rotten, or they go dump them
So,
in or burn them?
so we will share our, so and the Budna situation, we have we have been talking about it from day one, and now it comes to a point where he has representation, attorney at Mr. Attorney
Oliver?
Saldiva, Arthur Saldiva, as one of his attorney. Um, they had filed a suit, Leonard. So um, there are several things that is going to happen. So let's talk about it. What you see so far, or what's been out there, then, because we don't talk about nothing that is not out there, right? That it's you know we don't lie on no one, right? So whatever we talk about is what somebody had mentioned, and like for instance, Mr. Buddha and his legal representation, and what we have seen so far by the Commissioner of Police, the Prime Minister, and Mr. Musa, and other individuals, what they had to say, and the investigative report by the police, where it ends up and all that. So we've seen all that. So, and also, what's going on too, Leonard, there is this thing about the independent investigators, right?
Yes, sir.
So we could talk about that too in this little package here, in terms of the Budna situation, because it's real. He's a Belizean. It happens on Belizean soil. Everything happened here, and we see it plays out. It's a public domain, and where he ended up, and how did he end up there, right? So, go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll start off with the Budna affair, since it's the last point you raised. And I would like to say something that's going to make news, apparently, because I still don't hear it in the news media so far yet. But that Mr. Budna case is an international case, and it's going far and beyond just the borders of Belize and Guatemala. He's entitled to international legal representation, which can be afforded to him through the International Human Rights Commission under the UN, as well as under the uh, Organization of American States.
Yes.
More likely than not, it will start under the Organization of American States and will then be piggybacked on by the UN uh,
Nation.
Commission on Human
United
Rights.
Commission on Human Rights. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So as for the as for the investigation in Belize, we know that the commissioner submitted one to the prime minister, for which the prime minister decided that initially he said he sacked the man for 45 days, put him on leave because he produced to him an incomplete report. We still haven't heard anything about that report yet. What was in that report? Now, has it been made public? Since it was discredited, there's no need for the prime minister to keep hiding that report. Is there anything in there in that report that maybe does not exculpate him or anybody else for whom he is going to bat by getting involved with this matter preemptively? That's just a couple of questions that has not been answered or dealt with so far, but I want to continue on. The second report, which when it was spoken about, it was spoken about with such in such glowing terms and with such hopefulness that some kind of a police investigation being done at the highest level of the police department, no other than a deputy commissioner of police, right? By the young lady. I think she was a deputy commissioner of police, if I'm not mistaken. And that report took a while, only for the report to be said to be making a recommendation for a real investigative report, investigation, in order for them to so-called get the evidence or the information that will then lay culpability to whoever that particular report can point the finger at. But in the meantime, the report done by the young lady, according to the prime minister, who did not give it to the media for the media to do its job, to parse through it, and then tell us all the various bits and pieces. Since the report does not meet the necessary, or at least what was done, did not meet what would be considered as a lower rank police officer's investigation, because police investigations have always been done in our country by much more lower level individuals who has nothing to hide or no axe to grind of their own. But this particular report exculpated from the commissioner whom came to us and lied to us in public and said that no police was involved, when in fact the temporary police commissioner that was put in place, Mr. Jones, said that he signed the order to put one of the police officers on interdiction because of the same matter, because that man was identified. And then the recommendation from the second report is stipulating that nobody is guilty, as far as they can see. There's no culpability found there on the part of nobody, despite the act or the crime having been committed. There's no criminals to whom that particular report is pointing at. So therefore, based on what was said about the report by the Prime Minister, the report is incomplete. Because the crime was committed, but there's no criminal findings. But I want to go a little further. If you permit me, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd like to read a piece of the Constitution. The Constitution of Belize sections 20, subsection 1. By the way, section 20 has quite a few subsections. You have 1, 2, and a few others. But I just want to read for right now, since they are a little lengthy, I want to read subsection 1, and it goes like this. If any person, such as, for example, Mr. Budna, or anyone else, for that matter of fact, alleges, which he did allege according to the evidence that we have so far on tape, and also in his own words, okay, he alleged that any of the provisions of Section 3 all the way through Section 19, inclusive of the Constitution, has been, comma, is being, comma, or is likely to be contravened in relation to him or in the case of a person who is detained, if any other person such as myself or you, Mr. Wade, or anybody else on behalf of Mr. Budna, right, allege such a contravention in relation to the detained individual, in the case of Mr. Budna in this case, or in a person, then without prejudice to any other actions with respect to the same matter which is lawfully available, that person or the other person who alleged on his behalf may apply to the Supreme Court for redress. As of right now, we know that Mr. Budna have a lawyer, which we alluded to a little earlier in the program, Mr. Saldiva. And I am aware that he has other, and I'm also aware that he will be getting others, as I also stipulated earlier in my preface to my commentary. Okay, so we're a little ways down the road in terms of what's going on. But I'm just reading this part of the Constitution to
Thank you.
contextualize the fact
Thank you,
that
Leonard.
the fact that the gentleman alleged that a crime was committed against him, and as of right now, the police department is exculpating all potential or possible uh, individuals to whom the crime could be pointed at. But I'll yield back again, sir.
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome.
This is a developing situation, Leonard. My people. So we just hope and pray that justice prevail. You know, those who have committed the act, we just hope that their names and the that the nation gets to know who these individuals are. Um, I like what you said earlier, Leonard. There are other people, other organization that is going to get involved because of the 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 gravity of the incident, right? Where it started and where it ended up.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't start in Belize and ended in Belize. It started in Belize and ended across border.
Yes, sir.
So other agencies will get involved, and I just hope and pray that they do a proper and thorough investigation and lead to justice prevail. Justice in any which way. Um, I would like for clarity, Leonard, we are not here condoning. A lot of people are saying, we shouldn't be talking about this, and I watched some comments and watched some, you know, by some people what they talk about, and this man is a bad man, and he did this and he did that, and he deserved what he gets, and all that. That to the extent that some people are talking, right? But we here on this program, we are not saying we condone what Mr. Budna was allegedly had done or what he did in Guatemala. All I'm saying is that, there's a right and a wrong way to do things, right? Uh, the gentleman is a human being, and he should have been treated as such. From the mere fact that I observed the beating that that man get, they should have just killed him. Then they wanted they, I thought they're trying to kill him. That's it. That's just what I was thinking. Maybe people are thinking but that's what I was thinking.
Mr. Chairman, then check
So
out a gun. What's the purpose or use of a gun?
okay, so all I'm saying is that Guatemala, there's a protocol for them to go through. If they had wanted Mr. Budna, they should have gone through the. Mr. Budna wasn't running. If Budna had committed crime in the country of Belize, there are laws. The man wasn't running. There's a justice system, but that man wasn't running from nothing apparently, right? He was doing his reporting. He was reporting whatever he sees fit for him to report. That's his God-given right, right? So the way and manner in which they went about it, they see that it's pure like a malice, a vendetta, and they just wanted to get rid of that guy, right? So we are just saying that those individuals that did that should be brought to justice, right? And let whatever other should play it out, let it play out. If Guatemala want him back, or they hand him over back to, but let that man come back here and let him face the people that tried to kill him. Let him face them, right? In a court of law. Constitutionally, that man's constitutional right has been violated, right? And
By the powers of state, sir.
and I say this to say that you know the private investigators, that these individuals, I just hope and pray that they're not being suborned. I just hope and pray that they do the right thing and do what they should do to find these people. Whoever had did that act, they weren't a ghost or an alien, somebody from space. No, they're flesh and blood. They had faces. They have their body. They have they are all human beings, and they are right here. So let the investigation leads to capture these people for whatever crime they have committed, and let them suffer the consequences of their action. That's all I'm saying, right? And how can you have the police to investigate the police when you hear them say, "Oh yeah, well, police have committed crimes before, and people they investigate them and thing." This is larger than the police. This incident with Ryan Joseph Budna is larger than the police. But it so happened that the police will have to do that job. So the people that is larger than the police will hamper a proper and thorough investigation by the police, because they control the police. They appoint the commissioner. I'm not going to call name who appointed him, right? They appoint the commissioner, and then the commissioner will get instruction, and he will appoint the persons who he think that will carry out their agenda to do the investigation. Simple as that. They will shun away from the truth, from the real evidence. They will try to dilute that. You see, like when you buy a Coke and you add water to it, at the end of the day, when you're drinking it, it's not the solid Coke you're getting. Coca-Cola, I'm not talking cocaine.
when they had the cube ice,
Yes,
make me not make it like
no go on.
make it go too cheap, no?
Yes, sir.
But we had
Yes,
the
sir.
cube ice, we try to make it get cool,
Yes,
but
sir.
it diluted all the way because the same thing I just like if me they had water, just the frozen water.
Yes,
Your
sir.
point is well taken and
So
clearly understood.
I try to explain. You know, I'm not the brightest mind. I'm not the attorney. I am a nobody. I'm
But
a stupid person.
Mr. Weird, all I was saying is that it was correct. Any which way they want to take it, they could take it anywhere they want. You're still correct. That's all I was trying to say.
Thank you. Right? But that is exactly what is going to happen. And that's why they brought back Rosado. That's why they brought him back. They don't want him out there to be talking to anybody, or they tap his phone or do something and they hear what he's talking. No, they want Rosado in a close circle there, Leonard. They want to where he is being monitored by his boss. I'm telling you, you know. That's why they brought back that man. They don't want him flying around loosely about the place. No. But every day he have to report his activity. What is it? You know what I'm saying? But you know, a lot of people do not understand how this country runs. They do not understand how the police department runs. Right? They do not understand that. But I, for one, been there, done that. Seen it. That's why I could venom it out. Right? So these are the things that are happening, Leonard, right now as I speak. Right? So why are these people doing these things? If you, Leonard, if you haven't done anything, if you are not guilty, if you are not involved, why should you go the extra miles? Why should you go the extra mile? You understand what I'm saying? You know? So
Mr. Chairman, can you spare me a couple seconds of the time, sir?
go ahead, Leonard.
Why would that particular documentation, whatever report has been generated so far, both the original one and the second one, why, knowing that if there is the need for a case, the police department has to have what you call a chain of custody for all investigatory information or materials that they gather or they put together. Because that's going to be one of the bases on which any other independent investigator will come in and have to assess, firstly, what is already done by the police. Secondly, what they think that the police missed out. Thirdly, what they think that the police put in there incorrectly, or what they have to make assessments in a whole lot of different ways. They're what you call forensic auditing of documentations. All these things have their standard procedures, protocol
Standard procedure.
that the
So
system uses. I'm sorry, sir. Please, I
yes,
yield back.
so yes, my people, Leonard. You know, there's a lot of hanky panky going on this incident, and why, right? A lot of hanky panky going on with the video takes, right? With these tapes, right? There are a lot of hanky panky with that, and a lot of hanky panky going on with that report. It hasn't been perfected yet as to how Mr. Briseño wanted. So I go to him because it seems that everything they go to him. The police report and this and that and everything go to him. He peruse it and he carry it to he. Well, according to the Musa guy, they haven't even seen it. Visual scene.
And
They
he's a
haven't
lawyer.
seen it. But
He's a
what
lawyer
they
in
have
cabinet.
done, what cabinet has done was listen to Briseño verbal out of what he has in his hand. Right? It was read to in his word, it was read to them. That's what the weed minister said. It was read to them. He hasn't seen because the question was asked to this man. Has you Jules asked him that question. Have you seen the report, sir? Jules, I have not seen the report, but it was read to us by the Prime Minister in cabinet. I mean, like I say, I'm just a stupid person, right? So what that is telling you. So Why all these things? Why? What do you not want the public to know? Why are you so interested about getting this different police report in your hands? Is that your job? Are you
No,
taking over the whole? Well, then maybe you will be the judge too. Then that sits on that seat. The way you are behaving, Mr. Prime Minister, on that incident, right? Because everything seems to have to pass through you. Even the tape that you said you was going to show to the nation at the end of the month, you said that, well, the tapes will be released at the end of the month. Say, I will, release it to the public. That's what he said
he
at the
cannot
end
release
of
that
last
tape. Mr. Chairman, the Prime Minister has no power or authority to release that tape, especially if that tape is expected to go and end up in illegal
month.
proceedings.
So who
That's
believes
how they
this
could throw the
man?
whole case just by
Right.
tampering with that tape or not, or having that tape or
So
those evidence in the wrong hand. It kills the case. They know what they're doing. They're not
so
stupid.
so all in all, Leonard, on the right side now is that, who will pay for all these legal representation for the government, right? And these are people. The police force is an entity of the government, and all the individuals are government employees, taxpay taxpayers paying them, right? But I think that, it shouldn't be that the taxpayers should foot the the big time attorneys that's going to represent these people. I think that each and every individual that Mr. Budna says that did him wrong, these people should foot their own attorney bill, right? So I I know that the taxpayer is going to, end up paying a lot of money to these attorney that's going to represent the government and the government employees. Leonard, I want to jump into redistricting,
Yes, sir.
as time is of an essence, which is which is very important, Leonard. Our constitution says that, we should have equal or near as equal representation, you
Section
know
90.
so, and we've been talking about this. It's not the, for a few years now. um we have talked about in 2012, what the PUP lawyer, Mr. Edmund Marshallek, says when the UDP was in power, that yes, redistricting is far due on 2012. He said, and he went public, and the news corner that yes, and it's so easy to do. So he don't know why the UDP don't want to do it. He says it's easy. Say, and it doesn't cost much, right? That's 2012. 2019, Mr. Amon Courtney, the PUP attorney again, and now he's right. Whatever portfolio he has, that's amount of many portfolio. Um, he says in 2019, well, redistricting is necessary and it's needed. And in the 20 right after the 2020 election, they will do the redistricting. Yeah, we are 2025, right? 2019, the Belize Peace Movement took the Briseno administration to court, right? And we see how that played out. Again, 2024, I took them to court. We saw how that played out for the same thing with districting, and I will take them all the way to the highest court in the land, as it must be done according to our constitution. 2025, and it hasn't been done. And from 2012, Leonard, we've been having election. So, in my
Ille-
personal view, that they are all
illegal,
illegal,
illegal elections.
right? So, come March, there will be a town and city council election, town council election, and city council election across the country of Belize. That's going to be illegal again. So, through our medium, I call on again for the 999 times, Mr. Briseño, please do redistricting. What is the problem? What is it that you guys are so to afraid to do the right thing? The right thing is to do the right thing. Honor the Constitution. You took that oath. The lady, the Governor General lady, hold that book, and you says that you swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, swear to serve and protect and uphold the Constitution of Belize. And the Constitution, you swear that. The Constitution of Belize says that you should have redistricting, equal representation,
Can I read it, if
something
you
that
can?
you swear that you will do. So what is the problem? 2025. Huh? So let's dissect that. Why you think these people is afraid for, you know, to hold redistricting, to do a proper redistricting? Right.
Uh,
Um.
this. Oh, sorry. No, I thought.
No,
Yes.
no. I want to talk about, what is the hold up? Why we know constitutionally that they should do it. Why they don't want to do it? Why are they
Well,
fighting? Why they are they fighting the private citizens that are taking them to court for them to do the right thing? Why are they fighting these people? I'm asking you that question.
uh, the reason why they are fighting anyone, even at the point of disobeying the commands of the Constitution and acknowledging to the judge in the court that they're violating the Constitution and asking the court to give them the time to go ahead and correct their violation, the reason why they're going through all those mechanics and still don't comply is because they like it just as it is. First and foremost, they have it set the way they have it set. They have been winning the way they have it set, and they would like to keep it set that way and not have it disturbed so they can keep on winning. Bottom line, politics. That's what's at play. Politics. Well, I would say politics, like some people have said, I believe.
Politics.
Okay. They're not about honoring the Constitution to which they swore fidelity. They're not about honesty or treating the Belizean people with any level of um, care, as they said when they swore their allegiance to get the office assented to them, that they will do good to everyone and they will do no evil to anyone, to no one, and that they will exercise the powers of governance and the powers of the state without fear or favor, and that they will not be onerous people, that they will be honorable people instead. But just about everything that comes out of their mouth, they do the opposite in action. They say what they think people want to hear or what they think people need to hear to go along with their shenanigans. And then when you look at their comportment, their behavior, their actions, it's all malignant, malicious, devious. And I would go to the point of saying evil. For what justifies that, I don't know. But the bottom line is that they like it the way it is because it serves their purpose. And they don't want to change nothing or alter nothing, regardless of how outrageous or egregious the situation is. They have said that to us in words and in actions. They told the court that they know they are in violation, that they are bastardizing the Constitution, they're not following what the prescripts are. They acknowledge being faulty, but they don't care about being faulty. Acknowledge it is one thing. doing something about it is the better thing. So they acknowledge, but they don't do nothing about making sure their correction. And the judges laugh with them, smile with them, pat them on the back, and walk them on, for all intents and purposes, walk them out the door and tell them, okay, well, I didn't find you guilty, so just go ahead and do what you need to do or want to do. And what they do, they don't change their mind and change their behavior. They take that exculpation and they use it as a carte blanche to go ahead and do additional criminal activities under the color of law. Are you up, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. You know,
Bunch of rascals.
this really hits hard on me because I do contest in elections, and it's not fair. It's not fair for you have a constituency with 3,000 people and some with 9,000, 11,000, 8,000, right? You have some 3,000, 2,000, and these people, hold big office. They're ministers, right? Um, so where's the equal, right? So for me, I would like to see that done, and as of from yesterday, right? I mean, it's far due, right? Um, like you says, they want to keep it that way because that's how they win their election, right? And add up to their number of seats, on these little constituencies, I am noticing, Leonard, that in the south, they there are a lot of little villages that are popping up, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're onto something, but what they're onto, in my humble opinion, that is not going to be equal, right? They're stacking up on some villages, right? They're doing things, right? But what they should be doing, Leonard, they're not doing it. We here on this program had showed them a graphic how to do the redistricting, and with the touch, how many hours you said, Leonard? Under how much it was? Under 1 hour, 2 hours?
I don't recall
Yeah,
precisely
but
at this
but
point.
remember that a few
I
years
know. I remember
ago,
the exercise that we went
yes,
through, and the
Greg
special,
had produced that.
um, yeah, and the software that was used
The
to do it.
software,
You know,
yes, yes,
but I didn't remember the exact number, so I didn't want, because
yeah,
there's a lot of different numbers we were bantering around, and I didn't want to
but
misquote.
yeah, but it wasn't months though, Leonard. It
No, no,
wasn't
no, no,
years though, right?
no, no,
It
days.
it was hours, right? Or we
Oh,
said days. I think days, right? But the way this guy is saying that the amount of babies that need to be have before redistricting is completed, and the amount of money that it will cost the taxpayers, and I'll let this man Briseño talk about, right? So you already see there now that he's brainwashing the people already that it's a bad thing because it will cost too much money. When in fact, his own attorney back in 2012, he own PUP attorney, Mr. Edmund Marshall, says that it's easy and not costly at all with the software. He mentioned the software too, right? So I, it's so sad to see how these people, taking us for a bunch of fools, right?
Mr. Chairman,
Eh,
um, these guys had an election, village council election, and city council and town board election just after they got in to office, the first term. And those elections are like 3 years apart. So by the time they got around to the second election, which they went ahead and had two elections on the same data points that they won both of them already and looking to go ahead and do a third one now, as well as having done two previous town board series of elections, as well as village council elections. So they got more than a half a dozen elections under their belt without having moved a finger to resolve this problem. That's
So
why I said they like it how it is. They don't have no interest in doing just about nothing. They like it how it is, and they'll keep it there for the next election, as you say right now in March,
in March.
right? And then after that, they'll keep it there for the next one will come 3 years after, and then the one will
So
come 5 years after. They'll keep it, and UDP might come in into office if they get lucky and win, and they will just keep it there the same way because if they win on the way it is right now, they will keep it the way they try to win the same way again too. And that's the name of the game that these jackals are playing on us.
so sad, right? It's so sad. Um, and it's so sad that you have private citizens like myself and the Belize Peace Movement. Our team, we are trying to get them to do the right thing, and we have the justice, the judiciary, Leonard, the justice system. You have the courts that is
Being
is
corrupted.
being corrupted, right? And they know well that this constitutionally, but nobody is policing, the Constitution, right? The court
Mm-hmm.
is not policing the Constitution, right? So they throw out, each and every case that comes in front of them, right? In terms of asking them to tell the PUP administration how to do the right thing to do with districting, they just
They,
throw that out,
they
right?
ignore it. They
They
ignore it,
ignore
Mr.
it, right?
Chairman.
They
That's
ignore
the
it.
that's the that's the phrase that Judge
On,
Hondura asked Judge Neby when the question was put. Did you just ignore it?
you know,
And the answer was, for all intents and purposes, exactly how she did her final decision on the case. She ignored the primary constitutional merits of the case and ruled on a side deal. And this other gentleman did just about the same thing, ignore the case, and then turn around and pretend like, well, there's no need to have even any answer to the case. Or he took a long while before he produced um, an outcome after having promised it within a short space of time. But that's how they operate. The government, the judges, everybody is in on the gig. Just ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, and they all keep ignoring, including the Budna issue. They want it to just disappear as if it hadn't happened.
and while the people suffers, right?
They don't care.
While the nation suffers, right? So I call on more Belizean, more independent Belizean, more outspoken Belizean to put some pressure, because it's necessary. It needs to be done, right? And another thing, Leonard, this election and boundaries department, right? In my personal view, as for the minister of police was saying that that venture was a private venture. The election and boundary is an arm of the government, right? That's not private. So why, if he was saying it's a private venture, what business does our election and boundaries has to go and do with that marijuana referendum, right? Since it was a private venture, as per the weed minister, what he was saying, right? So they're all in on the gig.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad, and nobody seems to want to hold these people accountable. And they keep doing us harm. I personally have complained about the illegal votes that comes across from Guatemala in buses. Come, it's habitual practice in the UDP time. They bring people from over there, bring them in bus loads. They come vote, pay them their money, load them back in that vote on that bus, and they go back with their money happily and left us fighting with ourselves, right? You know, And these are the kind of things that the election and boundaries entertain, right? So so sad, But on
On,
that note,
on the election and boundary thing, Mr. Chairman, when the case was heard by the judge, the lawyer on behalf of the election and boundaries department said in court that the election and boundaries department is responsible for doing the work of calculating the different divisions and the numbers in the divisions and do the whole process, and that they don't have to listen to any outside influence in order to let them decide when and how they're going to go ahead and do their job. That's what I recall was said in
yeah,
court on
yeah,
the
that's
document
what.
itself. And the bottom line is that if we, the Belizean people, in your case, being part of the we, the Belizean people, was in court and the judge was willing to push your stuff aside because the election and boundary declared that they had no answer, they didn't have to answer to the Belizean people, which the constitution said they have to. Okay, that's why they're given that mandate. But that now the police minister is going to come and tell us that the election and boundaries can provide election and boundaries data and information to a private concern with a private referenda which does not exist, that they can take all government stuff and they can use it. And even the people who were against the referenda in Kikaka were not given the information about the voters list and things like those. How the hell can they go so far? Just the idea of doing it for a private people and not for the citizens of the country, which they are mandated to do, but then go as far as denying the very citizens the ability to get the documents that they provided to the private concern, because that concern is supposedly providing some money behind the scene. What the hell is becoming of our country? Are we being sold not necessarily to the highest bidder, but to whoever could put something in the special or the right person pocket? Is that what it's all about now in Belize? I yield back, sir. It's crazy.
And I asked who pays the depart employee? Who pays them? Isn't the taxpayers' dollars pays them? Isn't that what it is? The taxpayers pays
Well, well,
the
according
election and boundaries
uh,
employees.
to the answer of that question, or a potential answer to that question, the Minister of New Growth and Weed and Hemp and all the other rest of stuff there has already stipulated that they got money to get certain employees to work in that New Growth department. Was that money from the Treasury, or was that money from the private individuals that was trying to push their private weed law, which is contrary to the national weed law? Why don't they get their act together, go and change the law, and then turn around and do what they're trying to do now? They always do things backwards, and they try to ram it down our throat. And because we resist, they look at us as being, doing something wrong. A bunch of scoundrels. That's all I could say. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. Lately, you know, well, I go back a little. When all this mayhem with the killing of the young man Laddie, may he rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Police killing when he murdered that young man. All the other police murder. I mean, crimes that they have committed. All the police abuse out on the keys, which has shown publicly. Um, Individuals being found hang up in their cells and killed in their cells. Some police were found, guilty
And police
of
and police being accused of killing the two people and the other day,
yes.
right? And killing the other one, killing his wife, or kill the other.
Police been
It's just it's getting
police
totally
been
crazy,
accused
man.
of involved in robbery, robbery, went to court, found not guilty. I think three policemen found
Imagine.
right. You see
How,
publicly how they
how about
Leonard
the one who steal the man money, steal the bus driver money, and had the money right on him?
in the right. You see the police um actions in carrying out their duties. We see their behavior when they bust down people doors.
Mm-hmm.
We see their behavior
When they choke
in
people and beat up people.
interaction
And,
with the public who they were sworn to protect and serve. We see their actions, and then so I jump a little bit further. We've been talking about that for some while now that they have to check themselves. You got to be very careful on how they're going about doing their duties, right? Um,
Mr. Chairman, we don't know them pa or them man, so they don't have to listen to nothing
they
what we
know I
tell them.
listen
We
to
tell them
we,
over and over.
right?
And then the seat they happen now, and they still not they take caution.
We have been saying for some time that it's not going to end well for some of them who abuses their power,
Mm-hmm.
for some of them who do bad things to people, for some of them who do not carry out their duties in a professional way, for some of them who abuse their power, for some of them who lies to the court about a person appearing, go
Mm-hmm.
to the court and lie
Cause people
to
to
the
go to jail
court and have these people innocently go to jail,
and get police record,
right?
mess up the
Some
rest
of
of their
them
life.
who destroy evidence on people, some of them who do not want to take someone's report that come to the station. You know what? I come to make a report because John Jones, they do this to me and do that to me and thing, and I make one report about this incident. Some of these police tell you plain, they come public. I will not take your report. Go somewhere else. Get out my station. And
Mm-hmm.
if you fool long, I will lock you up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you can't take no picture in here. You can't use your phone in here. Take for your phone or box you up.
Mm-hmm.
We says that it's not going to end well.
And it's
So
not
now,
ending well for
Leonard.
a few of them. It's not ending well already
So
because they're in their
Leonard,
grave now
exactly.
and more to
So
come.
Leonard, we see now
Bunch of fools.
that people are taking the law into their own hands, right? So I pass it over to you on the police actions and behavior and the public behavior towards the police now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you alluded earlier, we have been harping on these particular subjects for years, literally years now. But again, like I said in just now, we are not their mother or father, so they don't have to listen to us, and they don't take good advice kindly, especially unsolicited ones. You know, the bottom line is that for not listening and paying attention, and for living in an environment of where they feel like they have so much power, they are drunk with power, and the authorities that's supposed to checkmate them or control them gives them free rein to go and interact with the public because they got the law behind them for them to be going and committing crimes against the unarmed civilians under the color of law. They feel like they will always be getting away. We haven't gotten to the point yet where people are really seriously taking up the police for their behavior or their conduct. It's just one or two. And for all you know, sometimes maybe it's one or two of not the bad guys then. It just happen to be that one or two that, karma runs up on. But the real bad man then, or the one that feel like they're bad and immune or invulnerable, they continue their behavior. But karma, like they say, when it comes, it doesn't give you any notice. And unless these fools and jackals start pay attention, I don't want to hear about why am I not sympathetic to them. because they are police officers and we're supposed to respect them and look out for them and empathize with them and see to it that because they're supposed to be out there protecting us, that we should drop a little tear for them once in a while when something goes wrong. To hell with it. I don't have a tear to drop because they have no tear to drop when they're out there abusing people with the power of the law behind them, slapping up people, punching down people, whopping people with baseball bat and batons and all kind of craziness, and kicking people when they're on the ground, having people under handcuff, grabbing people while they're under handcuff, lifting them up in the air and slamming them down in the back of those pickup trucks. What kind of craziness is that when the Constitution says that no officer is supposed to behave that kind of way? As a matter of fact, nobody is supposed to behave that kind of way. Nobody is entitled to be mistreated in that kind of way. But because their boss not saying nothing to them and they're getting paid, in other words, just go ahead and do what you want, as they're saying in the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Go ahead and do what you want because whatever has been done in the past is being done now or will be done in the future will be all exculpated under the 13th Amendment. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. That's how ludicrous this process is. You're welcome.
You know, you see the direction that the system is going, right? And it's all geared up, not in favor of the people, the poor people, right? Because all these things that they're doing to people, some of these people that they have mistreated and abused and do all these manner of ills to them,
Mm-hmm.
they cannot afford a legal representation, and so it gets swept under the rug and they get away with it, right? Because they do not have the resources to take them to court, right? Um, some do, but a lot of people don't have that resource to take them to court, so they just take their licking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we are seeing a little bit of the end result on that, and like I say, with me as a former policeman, um, I see a lot of ills, Leonard. I see a lot of mistreatment to the public. A lot of I call it like yes, the like your father they talk to you, right? So listen and shut up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know who does that? What? I'm pretty sure, Leonard, that I don't. I don't think then that this is what they're teaching now in a training academy, right? I don't think so, right? So, and then furthermore, you have the minister and the police commissioner, past police commissioner, trying to justify some of these people's action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there most of the times, these people have been videoed, right? And video starts circulating, and they say, well, they know he don't know for in hand, and then he never put it from away there, he never do that, he never do this, and they try to justify, right? They try to justify these people's action, right?
Rascals,
That
man.
is plain to be seen,
Okay, rascals.
right? So all I'm saying, we advocate for justice, right? We if you're doing wrong, we advocate that you must do better, and we advocate for the poor and less fortunate, right?
Okay.
We advocate for the people that who do not have a voice, right? And I say that a lot of them are behind there and afraid to come out and say really what's on their mind because of for whatever reason they're afraid, right? So we speak out on these issues because it's not right, and at the end of the day, they blame it on the oh well, the black white and bad, right? Then Then up on the street corner, they sell their weed and they behave bad. So we have to, you know, we have to do this to them, right? Um, all these illegal SOEs that they are passing on the south side, right? Um, when they refuse to do it elsewhere where bigger crimes are being committed,
Mm-hmm.
right? To every time it's a south side in the old capital, to every time the black white and they kill up themselves, right? Um, it's so sad to see that, our leaders just, I don't know if they just refuse to do the right thing, they don't want to do the right thing, or they don't know, blankly don't know, Leonard, what to do, right? So, on that note, Leonard, you have 5 minutes to give you 5 minutes because, it's about that time.
Thank you very much,
So,
Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
give you your 5 minutes.
I'll take the opportunity to read here Section 6 of the Constitution of Belize. Subsection 1 starts as follows: all persons are equal before the law and are entitled, without any discrimination, to the equal protection of the law. If any person is charged with a criminal offense, then, unless the charge is withdrawn, the case shall be afforded a fair hearing within a reasonable time by an independent and impartial court established by law. Every person who is charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed to be innocent until he is
Proven
proven
guilty.
or has pled guilty, shall be informed as soon as possible or practicable in a language that he understands of the nature and particulars of the offense charged, shall be given adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his defense, shall be permitted to defend himself before a court in person or at his own expense by a legal practitioner of his own choice, or shall be afforded facilities to examine in person or by his legal representative the witnesses called by the prosecution before the court, and to obtain the attendance and carry out the examination of witnesses to testify on his behalf before the court on the same condition as those applying to the witnesses called by the prosecution. And finally, F, shall be permitted to have without payment the assistance of an interpreter if he cannot understand the language used at or in the trial. And there are quite a few other subsections to that, which I will not get into. I'll just yield back, Mr. Chairman. I think.
Oh, you have 2 more minutes, Leonard.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
I'll just skip that. The rest of what was in that particular section, and there was another part that I wanted to. Let me see. Under Section 7 of the same Constitution of Belize, it says, no person shall be subjected to torture or to inhumane punishment or other treatment. Uh, I'll read that one again. Section 7 says, no person shall be subject or subjected to torture or to inhumane, degrading punishment or other treatment,
Like what happened
as
to
we had just
Budna.
described. Exactly. And what we had just described earlier when I said the police, they go out there and slap up people like if they're somebody's father or parents, punch up people, choke people, beat people down, you know, put gun on people, beat people with gun, as they did with Mr. Budnato. All these things these people are used to doing on a regular basis. And because they have a pliant or compliant society to deal with. But as we have been seeing, it's not going to take too long for that set of circumstance to change because people are not going to take too much of that kind of craziness for too much longer. Um, no person shall be held in slavery or servitude. No person shall be required to perform forced labor. And third, for the purpose of this section, the expression forced labor does not include, and it goes on to classify some other subsections. And I don't want to waste more time with that
Oh,
particular item. I'll just yield back,
when
Mr.
you
Chairman.
do your closing there, Leonard, because then I'll do a closing after you.
Okay. My closing is going to cover the Budna mistreatment. It's going to cover what I just read there, that no person should be treated in inhumane ways, such as how the police is going out there and mistreating people. And the government should not be trying to create no bastardized laws and put it on the book to exculpate themselves for their own shortcomings and the misconduct of the police officers. Do what needs to be done correctly and stop misusing the powers vested in the system that's supposed to pursue policies of state to the best interest of the public. So I beg that our system of governance quit behaving the way they have been behaving in such dishonorable way and in such heinous way while hiding behind the power of authority and while committing crimes under the color of law because it's unlawful, first of all, it's illegal, it's unethical, it's immoral, it's unprofessional, and it's unconstitutional. And that's the end of my take for tonight, sir. I yield back.
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman.
You know, I we here on this program, Leonard has been, for me, I have been calling out the healthcare situation in this country for many years now, right? And you know, not too long ago, we saw the attitude um, of the prime minister in terms of publicly how they acquire a piece of land in Belmopan, what transpired in that deal, and for what reason that land was acquired was to build a tertiary hospital, a state-of-the-art hospital for $91 million. That's a little while now, and we haven't heard anything about it, right? So, public knowledge, how that came about. So here I am again, advocating again for the poor and less fortunate in this country who uses the healthcare facilities. Again, over the weekend, few trips was made to the public hospital in the west with individual, and up here in the west, Mr. Minister of Health Mr. Bernard and Mr. Prime Minister, this hospital that you have up here, the government hospital, is being neglected and have always been neglected compared and along with other hospitals, public health hospital across the nation. I call again on you to please equip the hospitals with the necessary equipment that they need to carry out their functions and to give a good service to the Belizean public. Um, in the mornings, they give 50 tickets for two doctors to see 50 patients. In the afternoon, they give 50 tickets for one doctor to see 50 patients. And some of these poor people, they go there from 12 o'clock. One doctor to see.
You're going to be shocked at what...
Diana is not a poor.
12 o'clock. One doctor to see. So, you know, it's a shame to see that you go outside of the country and lies and continue to lies about the good healthcare system that we have in Belize, right? When you know you are all lying, right? You have these poor people go there from 12 o'clock in the afternoon till 9 o'clock at night and haven't seen a doctor, right? So, you know, please do the right thing. Give the people, you know, what they deserve. Equip these hospitals with medication that is lacking, equipment that is lacking, staff that is lacking, and, you know, quit putting the money where it doesn't belong. Put the money where it belongs. People uses these facilities. The poor people uses these facilities. They cannot afford to go out of the country like you guys do with the help of the taxpayers' money.
Mm-hmm.
You go and you see other doctors out of Belize. These poor people cannot do that, right? So people are dying because of lack of service that you should be providing for these people,
Mm-hmm.
for the poor people. People are dying. Simple as that, simple as it is, for lack of service.
Mr. Chairman, they
A
had the
sick
money.
person goes there, they gotta wait instead of an emergency situation. No, they will wait there 5-6 hours to see a doctor. What should be an emergency situation? What is so wrong? That is inhumane. How can you be having people subjecting to these kinds of conditions? And yet you go out of the country and lie. Big ministers, health ministers conference, this man Bernard went and said, yeah, we have good healthcare system. The people are okay and we have everything. You go out there and lie. Come on. That's all I'm saying, man. The people deserve better. Well, hey, you want to say something, Leonard?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chairman. Right on the same point that you was talking about, I just wanted to elaborate the fact that, or remind the fact that they bought the piece of land by the
by the
That is
sewer,
that is the word.
Belmapad sewer.
Thank you for the word. I was looking for that word. They bought the piece of land from, and they did it in such a rush, and they paid so much for it that they didn't have to pay because the land was already available at the university for them to build that hospital, which is where they said that they wanted to build a hospital, which is why they wanted to get the hospital. The $7 million disappeared. Nobody is looking back on the piece of land anymore. They're not even wasting no time on that. They needed that money to put into their political campaigning process. They got the money. I know that the campaign is over. They won the election. They even forgot that they ever had that transaction done. And the people need the hospital, Mr. Chairman. Exactly as you're describing. People need the service. But these guys never care about trying to provide no service to nobody. It was just a big hustle from the treasury. I yield back, sir. Bunch of
Again,
sponges.
people cannot afford, Leonard, these poor people cannot afford to go to these private hospital and go out of the country. They cannot afford it, right? So people are dying. I see this. What I'm talking about, Leonard, because it's what I see with my own eyes. It's not something that somebody come and tell me, something that I witness, which I know that is inhumane, right? And I have feelings, right? I feel for these people, right? And yet you go out of the country and lie to the nation and the world, blatantly lie about good healthcare system, good education system, free. That's what you said in the UN speak, free.
Where's the Bolido money?
There you go, right? The man hide in the national assembly. Oh yeah, we have a lot of money that we are collecting from the Bolido, so the government cannot go broke. When the other side say the government is broke, he said no. We have the Bolido money, lot of money. That's what that fool said, right? But anyway, that's how I see that. As I advocate for the poor and less fortunate, right? And on that note, it's always a pleasure, my brothers, to sit in a company.
Pleasure is mine too, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse my rant because these things so dear to me because I see these things happen, like I say, in the healthcare system, how it's so lacking, and people get sick, right? People get sick, and they need.
I hear. I'm concerned, and I'm also appreciative of your effort on behalf of others, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I wish you were one of those people in the assembly or in the government, and others like yourself, who would have given us a better government than the one we have right now. Because all these jackals are doing is complaining about a system that we inherited that they refuse to make any better or do any better with. I yield back, sir. And God
Thank you.
bless
On
all
that note,
Belizeans at
Leonard,
home and abroad.
it's always a pleasure to sit in your company.
Same here, sir.
And I hope that the Almighty give us, more time to speak out on behalf of our nation and people, and speak out about the ills, and hope that when we are no more, someone come from behind and continue to speak out on issues that pertaining to the poor and less fortunate. Those are the people that we advocate for. And thanks to those who support us, Leonard, and watch, and who will view us a little later. Thanks for their continuous support in terms of sharing and watching our program. On that note, I want to say good night.
Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. God bless. See you on Friday. We're gone, Mr. Wade.